Hello and welcome back for the GameShow Global Esports Cup here on GameShow _D2EN_2, game number 4, DK versus Newbee. Whoever wins this series gets themselves a trip to Vilnius for the studio LAN of the GameShow Global Esports Cup, and Newbee currently are on match point. Still, that last game looking a little bit shaky. I don't know, DK were able to come back and turn that one around, and it really felt like they probably shouldn't have been able to. There were a lot of opportunities for either team to get an advantage, but it was so long, drawn out, slow, and steady from both sides, and all it took was one fight, and the game was over. We'll have to see what happens game number 4. I'm Grandis V, and this time around, I'll be joined by Mike Loris.
Yeah, it's going to be a long game, I think, because neither side really super eager to play aggressively, which is going to be a little bit of culture shock for them as they go into, either one of these teams go into that European land. But still, I would expect them to pretty much stick to their guns. Tusk is the pick here for DK. Again, no surprises here. Queen of Pain, Dazzle, something along those lines. I kind of do want to see one of these teams just grab it Undying and then just like move down the lanes and just do that whole aggressive plan. But honestly, I'm not really sure if that's really going to be happening. Because of how these two teams have played, I'm actually very surprised that neither side is going to go for, like a lot more of a late gamey type build. Like Bounty Hunter is not exactly going to be an all-star late gamer. You would expect him to be at least replaced with someone who could at least hold his own in the late game, if that was the plan.
Yeah, the weirdest part about that last game was they were both very passive, but not with very passive heroes. You look at Viper, Tusk, Bounty Hunter, even the Juggernaut and Morphling to lesser extents, of course, they can fight early, and now we're going to see Newbee get their hands on the Shadow Fiend to throw to the mid lane. Probably pick up something like a Shaker or a Dazzle here.
Yeah, it's pretty much what you would expect from a Shadow Fiend opening. Did win the second game. I don't know if it was picked up in the first one. Fill me on that one, but still Shadow Fiend. Not exactly the cleanest victory yet. It is one of these heroes that can be played aggressively early on if needed, but his late game is extremely powerful. That's what we saw in the second game between these two teams. The late game Shadow Fiend just beating down onto the Lifestealer and doing quite a bit of damage in the process. Of course, Divine Rapiers definitely don't hurt your damage output there. It's actually going to be Alina, a Newbee, going to roll straight back into game 2.
Now, how are these lanes going to shake down? There's still the flexibility there, of course, for Newbee, but if they are going to run it as game 2, it's going to be a Howlina in the safe lane. But they don't necessarily have to do that. One of the big advantages of Lina is that you can throw her pretty much anywhere, and she's still going to be able to contribute something to the team. And this game, maybe more than most, the AoE stun from Light Strike Ray after the snowball in from the Tusk is going to be very valuable. Game number 1 did have a Shadow Fiend, but it was for DK's side. The Bounty Hunter in game number 1 for Newbee sat on that SF like nobody's business, and he found no momentum. But I'm not sure if we're going to see that from DK. It really feels like, yeah, the Templar Assassin is a much more reliable pick here, having a reasonable matchup against both the Lina and the SF.
Yeah, just blocking out those raises in and of itself is pretty good. If you have a supporting Tusk, then you'll be able to snowball into those heroes. The poor man's Blink Dagger, maybe, but there has to be like an actual perfect LSA if the Lina's going to survive that. Shadow Fiend doesn't really have many answers, and really that's the weakness of having either of these two heroes. Not like a Queen of Pain and Wind Ranger, who would have an escape should they get snowballed upon. They will need the escape to come from some other hero, and that is really where you go back into that Earthshaker that you just mentioned. Wouldn't be surprised to see Newbee pick that one up. If it is going to be a safe lane Lina, they could just have an Earthshaker join either her or roam towards the Shadow Fiend's lane, and either lane that he goes towards is going to have so much kill power.
Yeah, the setup stuns are really going to be held at a high premium for Newbee, and I wouldn't be super surprised to see DK ban out the Earthshaker here. It is just that good. Yeah, outside of that, still plenty of strong heroes available in the pool, but they are going to ban out the aggressive, or at least the makings of an aggressive dual lane, the offlane. The Darkseer and the Undying have both been taken away, despite not receiving that high priority in the previous drafts. I think this game, more than most, I think they might be picking up the aggression a little bit more.
Well,
We
in
can
theory.
hope, maybe.
Cross our fingers for it, because the long 45-minute farm fests are quite sleep-inducing. Nightstalker going to be taken out with that Undying Spiritbreaker, the only potential outlier as far as aggressive heroes that aren't quite picked up just yet. Wouldn't be surprised to see Newbee actually grab that one for their own. You have both cows on the roam. You can do quite a lot in those lanes if Newbee are going to take this aggressively, which they definitely can, though it does seem like DK are slightly better positioned for it right now.
Yep, very well. For Newbee, I think they'll probably just pick up the Shaker. It feels like the safest option for them. But outside of the Shaker, what could it be? I think special mention goes to Rubik. The Tusk's entire kit is very useful to steal, and that setup stun from Telekinesis is good enough for your Shadow Rays combo or for your Lena's follow up. Anything with a stun will suffice for a Newbie, and that extra defensive power is really going to be there. Still, let's see what they're going to ban. Tusk Spirit Breaker as a dual lane offlane, although it can function, isn't the cleanest at all, but they will ban the Spirit Breaker and probably pick up the Shaker here. I don't think there's going to be any surprises in these third picks.
It could be a Shaker, could
It's a Disruptor.
I wasn't gonna say Disruptor, I was gonna say Bane, but Disruptor also was something that I was definitely going to say because, I
It's what they picked.
definitely was
Yeah.
gonna do that.
It's certainly not bad. Disruptor is never bad to have on your side. Just dropping a Kinetic Field Static Storm if Tusk is snowballing in is amazing. And it's not the same type of setup from an Earthshaker Fissure, but it can suffice, at least for the Lina.
And it's not too late to also grab an Earthshaker. If
Oh,
he's
yeah.
going to be more so on the roam than not, then Disruptor's the perfect hero to have as kind of just like a poking hero in the lane. Just occasionally right click, and if they get a little bit too low, glimpse them right back into an LSA, bam, you're going to be getting some kills. So they can do that. Going for Bane is also decent if they're going to look to camp out the mid lane, help out the SF or Lina there, whoever is going to go towards that mid lane, expecting the Templar Assassin. There are possibilities abound here for the Newbie's secondary support pick. It's most likely going to be an offlane selection. However, right now, as DK should be lacking theirs as well, in which case there doesn't seem to be anything wrong with the clockwork here.
Oh, yeah, for sure. Clockwork's tried and true and a very safe pick for Newbie. And most of the usual suspects in the offlane have been banned out. Darkseer, Nightstalker, Undying, Spiritbreaker, Doom are probably the top 5. Clockwork comes in as a close 6th. If it's not the Clockwork, maybe they save that pick till a little bit later. Who knows? It's going to be the Ember Spirit instead. Support Lina after all for Ember Spirit as they pick up the Ember.
Now, what Ember Spirit does have is maybe power to go towards the mid lane up against the TA. Defensive charges will not be useful at all for the Templar Assassin. Nothing really to block there versus the Ember Spirit. But that being said, the physical right-click damage of Templar Assassin is just so much higher. Even if you do lose your defensive charge, you still have those offensive charges. So Ember Spirit, if he is in that matchup, is going to be in for a tough time. That being said, they could always just put Shadow Fiend in the mid lane, put the Lina Disruptor Ember Spirit in that safe lane. They don't know their opponent just yet, but I don't know if there's any offlaner that's actually able to manage those trio of heroes. If you do get hit with the glimpse at all, you're pretty much screwed every single time. Like maybe they have Tusk Snowball to block it, and maybe he somehow slips out of there. But aside from that, like there's real no great offlane air selection here for DK because this defensive trialing here for Newbie is just that powerful.
Yeah, and although it can be a little bit difficult for Disruptor to get in range for that glimpse early on, I don't think it really matters. The amount of poke to just the Lina and the Disruptor both with the amount of range that they bring to the table is going to make it difficult for anybody really to stand comfortably there. And once you get the Ember Spirit an advantage against most of the offlaners or even the Shadow Fiend if they want to run the safe lane SF, it's going to be almost impossible for them to come back, and they're going to put their faith in the Lifestealer again. Yeah, I'm not so sure about this. The kiting potential of the Ember Spirit and the range damage from the Shadow Fiend feels like it makes Lifestealer a poor pick. Granted, he does have survivability against the supporting cast, and getting out of the change from the Ember Spirit is nice, I suppose, but it doesn't feel like the best Lifestealer game. If they wanted it, maybe save it till the 5th pick.
You can always get Lifestealer 5th. Seems like it is going to be very much so the second game, except Ember Spirit, kind of a turncoat, is going to swap sides here. Lifestealer, as far as easy ways of getting in, Templar Assassin maybe with the Blink Dagger, Tusk with the Snowball. Not exactly Storm Spirit, who I still think is the best partner for Lifestealer, although I don't really know if there's room for a Storm right now for DK. The Lifestealer does have the advantage of being with the Dazzle and Tusk. If you do go offensive tri-lane, as DK, can you actually manage that? Snowball in, Lifestealer in melee range, Dazzle Heal Bomb. That might just be enough to like insta-gib heroes like Disruptor, even from a very early stage. And that is kind of going to mitigate the weakness of the Lifestealer in that he is going to be kited incessantly by the Newbie side, and that Newbie, at least their cores, are very, very slippery or just have low-ish health with a lot of armor to protect it in the Shadow Fiend. So not exactly the best Lifestealer game for DK. They really have to do something a little bit cheesy, I feel, if they really want to get this Lifestealer off the ground and get him ahead very early on.
Is there any chance that they run this Life Stealer in the jungle? I don't think so. But then again, if they don't go for that aggressive tri lane, there's not really another option. Now we have a Batrider for Newbee. When Lifestealer was at his peak, Batrider was pretty high up there too. The hard single target lockdown through the rage is going to make it almost impossible for him to be able to do anything inside these fights. And I'm not even sure if they need to use the lasso on the Lifestealer. You can just throw it on the Templar Assassin and kite the Lifestealer around inside the fights. I think DK might have to pick up Avenge here.
Yeah, just some sort of response to this Batrider, maybe like an offlane Legion commander or something like that. You can press the attack off that lasso. It won't really be the best selection for DK, but again, like they need some sort of response to this Batrider. Their Ban of the Beastmaster is very similar in that Batrider pick, in that both of those two heroes do have point click, you're going to be stunned ultimates. So I mean, I think the ban out for DK in the Beastmaster is perfectly fine. But as far as response to the Batrider right now, they have Tusk Snowball, which is kind of useful early on. It's useful in some situations, especially if you have the Blink Dagger, but it's not going to save you every single time, whereas Avenge Swap will. It's going to be an Ix Assassin for DK. Another old response hero. Another old hero that's picked up with Lifestealer because you get to Vendetta gank people with 2 heroes instead of just 1. And also being able to spike Carapace and the Firefly represents at least a small opening for the Tusk to maybe capitalize off of that small hiccup in that Batrider's initiation.
I still am not sure if the Sixth Assassin is going to be able to get enough experience out of the early laning stage to really be able to hit his stride. But if he does, the Assassin has a lot of targets that he can hunt down. The Lina, the Disruptor, and the Batrider all tend to be fairly squishy if the Nyx gets early momentum. And if he could kill the Batrider as he's going for stacks, maybe with Smoke Gang coming out from the Tusk too, it's an interesting selection coming out from DK. It's not nearly as reliable as the Venge, but reliable might not be winning this game for DK either. So, yeah, well, let's see how it pans out. It should be interesting.
All right, so I think given the previous games, the question must be asked, who has better late game here? I feel like it is going to be Newbee, but I don't know, DK's pickoff power is also really high in the late game.
It's another situation where it's hard to call who has the downright better late game scenario. On even farm, I think Newbee probably. I don't know. It's mostly a toss-up, and I don't think that favors either team, really. Currently a big smoke coming out from DKs. They're moving down to this bottom half of the map. Maybe they'll be able to find First Blood. The level 1 fight from Newbee is pretty weak. Especially if they kill off the likes of a Shadow Fiend or even the Ember Spirit in the backlines. Level 1 Flame Guard's terrible. Everybody in the Snowball going for the Ember Spirit. Stun latches. He gets a Sleight of Fist. Dodges a lot of the damage coming out from them, but is it enough to save his life with the Kinetic Field? It looks like it is.
Easy escape, easy life, no problem whatsoever. I guess they do, force the Ember Spirit to get Sleight of Fist level 1, which I'm pretty sure wasn't the plan of this Ember. Field level 1 also revealed, as was the LSA level 1. I mean, the LSA level 1 is kind of to be expected. From this Lina, especially played as support, but DK don't really commit all that much into it, really. I like the Sleight of Fist pickup there from the Ember, and it just got him off the map for a couple of seconds and avoided that fight almost in its entirety. So, DK with a nice attempt there, but unfortunately just not going to pan out, and now we're just going to settle into our lanes. Batrider was not involved in that at all. He was busy clearing out the trees so that he can see absolutely everyone. Very old Beastmaster and Batrider tactic there. And going off lane as the Batrider, well, first of all, we have Shadow Fiend getting his wounds opened to not much end. In fact, Shadow Fiend is not impressed by this.
Back to the mid lane with you. Oh dear, the double dot in return. They'll go back to the top lane. This Batrider should have a pretty good time in the laning stage, at least a lot better than the Tusk. That said, the Lina is currently sitting mid, trying to secure Shadow Fiend as much space as she possibly can.
This Batrider is going to have almost a completely free time. The Tusk is on the off lane right now, and supporting Nyx with the Dazzle, like, it's not really a threat until those heroes get to like level 7 or something like that. Batrider already just going to pull the creep wave, a very Lone Druid-esque tactic, I suppose, for the Bat, but we do see Batriders do that occasionally as well. Bat's going to be getting quite a bit of experience, doesn't really have to worry about his death, and honestly, he doesn't really have to worry too much about giving over charges of Magic Stick, Magic Wand over to these heroes. Like, Lifestealer isn't going to be spamming his skills. What could he possibly spam out here? He's going to get the Magic Wand because, it gives you free health. But more rage, I guess, sometimes, occasionally. Batrider doesn't really have to worry about much. He's just going to Firefly and jack all these creeps.
Yeah. Then again, the Lifestealer is probably not going to die and shouldn't get his farm harmed too much by the Batrider. For now, it is slowed because of that creep wave pull tactic coming out from the Bat. But if there are a lot of napalm stacks, Lifestealer just rages and runs, and he should be fine 9 times out of 10. Mid lane, the Shadow Fiend for now is struggling a little bit, but this is normal fare for Shadow Fiend versus Templar Assassin. Backline's an extra raise. The defensive charges are going to be burned through. Templar Assassin will be fine. Salves up in the backlines.
Hurts like hell, though. She is pretty close to her bottle. She has to just play this next couple of creep waves very, very carefully and get those CS over anything else and secure that bottle, because then she's going to be almost completely okay in this laning phase. Of course, we have this bottom lane, Tusk. He's going to be roughing it up against these three heroes. For right now, the creep wave is very, very far towards the dire side of the map, and it looks like with this double pull in, the Newbee side are going to counterbalance that at least to some degree. The Tusk is working with no vision. I'm not really sure if he had an Observer Ward previously. It seems like no, but he is spotted by a Radiant Observer Ward, so he's the one who has to be careful here. If he gets glimpsed back into an LSA, he's going to have to snowball, and then at that point, he has to hope that the snowball target is someone who's still in a decent spot so that he can survive afterwards.
Yeah, I think their ward, if they placed one at all, was blocking the large camp. The D ward was placed down by the Radiant side. Whether it found something or not is another story entirely, but having that jungle resource available for Newbee is very important for not only the Shadow Fiend, but also the Batrider.
Yeah, if Batrider is, for whatever reason, going to be forced out of this top lane, then he's going to want to stack up that hard camp as much as possible. Again, it doesn't really seem like that's the order of business here for the Bat. It's going to take an Impale. He doesn't care. In fact, the Nyx Assassin is going to get stomped sitting in the Firefly. That's a lot of damage. That's damage that the Nyx Assassin perhaps wasn't planning for. Batrider, at the very worst here, is stealing a little bit of experience and is actually going to snag that Centaur, stealing a good amount of gold as well. Batrider's allowed to do this, and if you let a Batrider farm, that means the Blink Dagger is going to be coming up that much faster. It means Lasso is going to be coming up that much faster. That means heroes like Templar Assassin, though they may be having a good time right now, are very quickly going to be having a really bad time.
Yeah, it could be very difficult for them to manage. Batrider might consider getting a bottle in this lane, but he's already so farmed. Maybe he just rushes straight towards the Blink Dagger. Depends on how active he wants to be in that lane and how much he wants to be taking out these stacks. Currently a double in the large camp, and Lina looks like she's going to make this an extra stack in the right-hand side large camp as she goes to secure the 4-minute rune with the Disruptor.
So we're going to have a couple of stacks here for the Newbee side. Again, Shadow Fiend and Batrider most likely going to be the recipients of that. At this point, probably the Batrider. I mean, he's having, a really great time, but a faster Blink Dagger is never going to be a bad thing. The only thing you don't want to have happen is that you grab Blink Dagger before level 6, because then it's just awkward, and it's like, kind of feels like wasted gold there, but I don't expect that to happen, not at least not in this game. Dazzle is looking around the mid lane with the haste rune. He's going to run to the Bat, and that should just about be it. So, Dazzle can't really do much with the haste rune pretty much ever. The Tusk right now in the off lane is level 3, actually not doing as bad as I really would have thought. Again, there's so much kill power in this lane. The Tusk is surviving and getting level 3, 3.5 worth of experience is actually pretty good for the DK side.
Absolutely. The Lina has been very hands-off, but top area. The Batrider is going to drop down the Firefly. Nyx Assassin sitting in it, but has the Carapace now to set for the Impale. The heal bomb isn't as big as it could have been, but might still be enough. One right click, and they'll be able to get first blood as DK kill off the Batrider. A little too aggressive going to interrupt that pull, and as we just looked at the Tusk, they're pretty much on par when it comes to experience. Granted, the Batrider has a little bit more gold, but now giving up first blood, that's going to help out DK a truck ton.
Yeah, just going a little bit too deep for that. Like, if you're going to stick around this camp, then fine. Once you get, closer to this pull camp, then things get a little bit sketchy, at least for the Newbie side, so Batrider getting perhaps a little bit too comfortable, thinking that, hey, I'm a tanky intelligence hero. I could get away with this. You can't get away with that. Not going that deep into the enemy woods without some sort of backup hero. So it is going to be Batrider to give up first blood. It's going to be Dazzle to grab it. That's his boots. Not really super influential, but I guess when you're up against a Batrider, having more movement speed sure as hell isn't going to hurt. 1-0 now for DK, and well, it seems like they're not going to be reaching any timings. At least not yet. We actually have a Ring of Basilius picked up on the lifesteal. That's actually a pretty interesting pick. I wouldn't expect him to go for that. Like, if you're going to go for the early stat items, like drums, if anything.
It's really nice for the Dazzle and Nyx Assassin to have that extra mana sustain. So, I don't know, I don't think it's bad by any means, and having an early armor item on Lifestealer is very effective. Despite being melee here, his armor is not all that great. Templar Assassin is going to drop a slow, but Bounty Rune should still be secured by the Shadow Fiend. His bottle's going to fly out. Yeah, it doesn't deviate away from his build path. I think it's doubtful he'll upgrade it into anything, just a casual Basilius in your tri lane. It's absolutely fine.
Well, now they're going to start applying pressure to this tower. Batrider is going to arrive with the Firefly and only a Lifestealer to worry about. There's not much that's threatening him here. He can just get up to the high ground and be perfectly fine with that. Batrider will hold that tower, but the stacking situation looks like it has been, at least the hard camp, the left hard camp has been cleared up a little bit. Now Batrider actually can take a lot of damage from the Lifestealer. He's running out of Firefly soon. Backup is coming. Nyx Assassin, Spike Carapace, well, not going to be able to Firefly stun the Batrider. Lifestealer going deep. Is he going to be punished, though? TP is going to be canceled by the Disruptor. Will be committed to by the Ember Spirit. He's going to find Dazzle all alone. This poor Dazzle doesn't have a chance in hell as long as the Ember Spirit does not use his chains first. And he won't. He'll save it for a potential TP. They'll grab the Dazzle with that. Now they're looking for the Lifestealer, who's actually going to go into the cart and then just be free on his way. I don't know how he got close enough to a Batrider, but he was able to grab that kill, and now he's probably going to escape as well.
Yeah, I don't think they're going to be able to chase down this siege creep, and if nothing else, maybe he's able to dominate it and turn around, just pop out of it. Regardless, the Ember Spirit doesn't have any help, and now he's going to start trading some blows with the Ember. The damage from Lifestealer early is something that's pretty easy to forget about since we don't see this hero very often, but it's kind of working out for TK, at least in that exchange.
The hero just naturally has quite a lot of damage. Having phase boots is going to give him even more damage, so Ember Spirit, he doesn't have like terrible damage either, but his Lifestealer is just way too big to consider trading hits with, at least at this stage. So it is going to be Newbee using a lot of teleportations to kind of shuffle up their lanes a little bit. Now no one's farming this bottom lane. Now Batrider is most likely just going to take to the jungle, but with not that many stacks, this Batrider's jungling is going to be very, very slow. They are going to see the Nyx Assassin with the Ember Spirit right now. LSA is going to land. There is no time for Spike Carapace as the LSA Dragon Slave raise will insta-give that Nyx Assassin, just the wrong place at the wrong time.
Still feels like we're in a very even early game from both of these sides, despite a couple of failed rotations either way. Oh, Tusk gets perfectly body blocked by these creeps, snowballs out to the ranged one, he's going to be just fine, but Tusk has level 6.
Playing around the Rosie with the Templar Assassin, all of a sudden Psionic traps and he's just got to fly away. Not going to happen. With the snipe, Haste Rune again being picked up by DK. How the hell are they finding all these Haste Runes? She's going to, however, get chained down. She is melded away, but with the Sentry Vision, they see her. However, can Ember Spirit actually do anything about this? Has a Sleight of Fist, glimpse back into an LSA. That's going to kill off the Templar Assassin. Looks like they have a Sleight of Fist, no Searing Chains, though. And will, in the end, be Templar Assassin for a Batrider. A fantastic trade for Newbee to be making. If they can do that a couple more times, they'll be ecstatic.
Maybe not the bat, though, the next couple of times. He does need to save up for that Blink Dagger, and it's very unfortunate that he's the one to die for it, but if you're going to kill the enemy mid laner, that's definitely the way to do it for Newbee. And they'll be happy with how that shuffles around the top half of the net worth graph. Still, this Tusk is getting a lot more farm than the Batrider, and his solo kill potential now, even without having that Blink Dagger or mechanism, whatever he's going to be building into, is a lot higher. Especially if you can isolate the Disruptor or the Lina, both very squishy supports with any sort of help, and maybe him and the Nyx start getting active around the map as soon as Nyx Assassin has Vendetta up and running, which isn't going to be too far away after this creep wave.
Ember Spirit dropping very low to the Tusk. He's going to Sleight of Fist, needs a little bit more damage over time. Thunderstrike. Oh, the Snowball is not going to kill off the Ember Spirit. He needs 2 more right clicks, I feel. There's no more Walrus Punch. The Dragon Slave is going to pick him off. That was a very, very close fight there.
Glimpse.
They get a glimpse back onto the Dazzle LSA. He does have a Grave and a heal, but there's chains incoming. Where'd the Ember Spirit go? He
not enough mana. Yeah, he was completely dry when it comes to mana, so he's not going to be able to kill off that Dazzle. Still, a free kill for Newbee that they're fine with. The Tusk and the Ember Spirit trading very close, but it's usually the Ember Spirit to come out on top. He has control of when he disengages, and the Tusk, to a lesser extent, can snowball out and maybe get out to safety, but not nearly as much control as the Ember.
Ember will always determine where he wants to go and when he wants to go there. Tusk, snowball is a nice escape sometimes, but it's very hard to control. In the meantime, while all those kills are being traded down the bottom lane, top lane, Tier 1 tower was destroyed. Shadow Fiend's now getting a little bit of time to farm, but here we go. Surprise, Nyx Assassin is going to be approaching the SF, but he sees it coming, or at least senses it coming. I don't think he actually saw this, but either way, he's going to keep himself safe, but that might actually be a bad thing because Batrider is so close to his Blink Dagger. Dying right now is just the worst case scenario for the Bat, but no, the Vendetta wraparound is actually going to catch the Shadow Fiend in the end. Vendetta hits, Spike is there, plus the mana burn, his wounds are opened, and he is going to die. He grabs a Buckler, which is going to help, I guess, but Requiem, Death, and they land a field onto 2 heroes. Static Storm only into the Lifestealer right now. They don't have enough mana for a lasso, but they're going to try to go for this Lifestealer, I feel. Bump him right back in. He has no Infest to get out of here, so he's going to have to fight his way out. Rage TP. Is there anything that have to disrupt it? No. Oh man, Batrider, need your lasso for that, man. Lasso would have gotten them that kill, but just not enough mana.
Yeah, and it's not like you can buy any mana items at this point. You don't really want to back off for a mango, a wand, a stick, or anything. You want that blink dagger as soon as possible, but that's one of those situations where you'd really rather you had the stick. The, yeah, survival of the life stealer is huge. This is the highest net worth hero on the side of DK. As the Midas running, and it looks like he's going to be going straight towards that armlet next.
Cost-effective damage output. Get the Templar Assassin, a Blink Dagger, or something along those lines, and you'll be able to jump in, and we'll do very similar things that we just saw in the Shadow Fiend, just insta-kill pretty much. It wasn't instant, but I assume this Templar Assassin is going to be going for a Blink Dagger, holding on to 1900 gold, very close to it. He's going to find hers at around the same time as his Batrider, who actually now has a couple of stacks, so this is going to be his Blink Dagger gold for sure. And this is going to be Newbee's chance to really decisively group up and take these picks. Hopefully for them, the Lina will be closer to level 6 by that time, so they have the jump in Lasso into Laguna Blade combo, but right now they're just happy to have this Blink Dagger, and they're probably going to go straight towards mid lane with it.
Especially if they gank towards mid lane, just having the lasso back into the double raises is more than enough damage if they're able to get that initiation to work. But another infested lifesteal, yeah, inside the next, going for the Ember, popping right out. The Ember Spirit does have defensive remnant. Can they burn up mana? He survives, and he'll be able to get out to safety. You need a third hero there for DK, or else you probably can't get that kill. It's a very low probability one in any case.
That was very close. Now we have the response here from the Newbie side. They have the Blink Lasso, however, there's no one in sight. DK should not have seen this, and it seems like the Lifestealer is going to stick around for potentially a little bit too long. There's the Blink, there's the Firefly. He is raged up, but now he's down on the low ground. LSA is waiting for him. Spike from the high ground is going to catch onto 3. They do have a glimpse, however, so that's not necessarily going to save the Lifestealer. He's now back into an LSA. They have no Laguna Blade. They have a Grave, however. Lifestealer is still alive. He's going to kill off the Lina in the end. He's going to slip out of the Static Storm. Looks like he's trading hits now with the Ember Spirit, who will get the kill. Now needs to jump out, but it's too late. He doesn't have enough. Another Spike through is going to end up killing off the Ember. Shadow Fiend, hopping off the Requiem, is going to do quite a bit of damage to the Tusk. One raise, long range, is going to drop him fairly low right now. Doesn't have a snowball. Right click's going to kill him off. Now into the Y-Stick. This Templar Assassin is going to come loose around, and Shield Fall as well. Double kill for the Bat. And now the Haste Rune. How do these heroes keep finding Haste Runes? I don't understand. Is going to chase forward. Can't find anyone just yet. Though they do have a glimpse. Are they really going to try it on the Dazzle? They will do so. Blink forward, a little bit more Firefly. In fact, a lot of Firefly duration, but it doesn't seem like the Batrider really wants to test it with the Nick Assassin still being alive. He'll just bail on out of there. They lose the Ember Spirit Newbie, but what they gain is the Lifestealer and the Templar Assassin, and a lot of extra gold for the SF and for the supporting crew.
Just like that, the SF has his mechanism completed after having a pretty mediocre start to the game. When it comes to his farm, 1-1-3, Templar Assassin is starting to fall behind the SF after just one death, and really just the power of the hero. He's able to farm so effectively, even if he isn't getting involved in these kills. And now he is going to be getting very involved. Having that extra armor against the TA, against the Lifestealer is going to be super important. And next upcoming minutes of this game, the initiating and teamfight tools are there for Newbee, and despite the Lifestealer being at the top of the net worth chart, his effective items, I mean the attack speed from the Midas is by no means something that you can ignore, but it's also not nearly as impactful as like the Mecha to Blink on the enemy's side. Now jump into the next Assassin again. Can they find a pick? It feels like this is just not quite enough damage for the Ember, although they're going to try for it.
With the Tusk here, it definitely will be. However, there is also a Batrider right around the corner. The Ember Spirit has completed up jumps. I don't believe he had that last time he got ganked, so maybe that health swing is going to be enough for him. Does have a remnant to jump to. Does not see the enemies, but once again, Newbie Star Sense really working out well for them. First it was the Shadow Fiend, kind of worked out in the end. Didn't end up working it overall, but still, Ember Spirit's going to keep himself safe now, grouping up with everyone else. Detection check. There is a Sentry. And that's it. So if they run into the Nick Assassin right now, they may struggle to actually kill him off. They're going to Firefly forward, grab the Dazzle, drag him away. Can they bring him down with no Grave? Cast? Yes, they can. The Ember Spirit's going to have his wounds open, impaled up as well, but the mechanism, he'll stay alive. Static Storm now deployed. They have to glimpse this Lifestealer back into it, and it looks like they will do so. Bumped up to the high ground, will take a Laguna Blade, but will survive that one. He's not going to survive in the end, as Nick Assassin is also going to fall to the Shadow Fiend, I believe his Illusions got that kill. Ember Spirit looking to chase forward, looking for a Tusk. Isn't quite going to run in the right direction and doesn't have a Flame Guard anyway, but still, that's going to be a 3-0 in favor of Newbee. Getting the Batrider to perform that initiation is huge, and well, we can see the effects of it. They're going to take 3 kills and a tower.
Yeah, and it kind of has to be on the Dazzle there. If it's anybody else, you have the Shallow Grave and the potential for a turn with the extra sustain thrown in from DK. And now, after that Tier 1 tower falling, Newbee have quite a substantial lead, or at least compared to this game. They have 2,000 net worth in their favor, more than 3,000, almost 4,000 experience in their lead. DK are still getting their progression. You have the Desolator done on the Templar Assassin. But is this Desolator going to be enough? I'm not so sure. The initiation precision coming out from DK doesn't feel like it's on the same level as like a Glimpse or a Batrider's Lasso. It's not bad, of course. The Tuscan Nyx Assassin can do the job. There's just not very many openings, and when they commit, there's just way too many enemy heroes inbound.
It is going to have to be like Nyx Assassins, Vendetta Gangs to start that off, or at least get Impale to start it off. Onto 3 heroes, ideally, as that top lane fight was pretty solid. But now they're going to smoke up, looking for someone to defend this bottom lane. Seems like the only hero that they might find is this Disruptor, but it's a Disruptor. They don't really care, Newbie, if they lose this hero. They're going to teleport a couple more heroes in. It's the Shadow Fiend. It's the Batrider. Blink Lasso immediately should be used. There it is. This time, no rage is up. Double damage on the Shadow Fiend. They're going to drag him into a Static Storm. I think he's dead, guys. I think he's dead. The rest of the DK side, they're going to try to go for Roche, but Newbie, just like that, are going to smoke in, make a beeline for it. They don't have another lasso, obviously, but they will drive everyone from DK off and get a glimpse back, right back into the pit. Templar Assassin's going to hide in the meld, but this isn't going to last long. She's going to lose all her defensive charges, and she's actually spotted by the Radiant Sentry. They'll see here, blink forward for a little bit of tar. Batrider is not going to capitalize on that, but it's a 2-kill for Newbie. And not just 2 random support heroes either, 2 big cores.
It's very rare that we see synergy between like sticky napalm and glimpse, but getting that vision with the napalm onto the high ground's huge there for Newbie. They get the 2 kills that they could only dream of. That's the perfect situation for them. Lasso kill onto the Lifestealer, glimpse kill onto the Templar Assassin, Roshan immediately after the fact, and now they're really starting to pick up steam. Newbie's ability to continuously fight is a lot higher than DK. It feels like this Nyx Assassin, although on paper the hero is good, or at least a good idea coming out from DK, he's not farmed enough. Nyx Assassin, although his natural kit is useful, don't get me wrong, for finding solo kills, it's not enough on its own, and you really kind of need a Blink Dagger and a mobility item, at the very least, even if it's a Force Staff, to fully benefit from the Nyx pick, and I'm not seeing him finding that relevant factor. And you also kind of want a Midas for the Aghanim Scepter and the levels it'll offer you. There's just way too much for this Nyx to buy and not enough gold to buy it. He hardly has earned Arcanes.
Very frequent problem that Nyx Assassin runs into. If you're not actively feeding on the enemy support heroes, you're going to be falling behind very quickly. This Nyx Assassin probably wouldn't run into these problems if he was up against, you know, Pugna or Leshrac or like huge intelligence heroes, Storm Spear or something like that. But up against a dumb hero like Ember Spirit or Shadow Fiend, like Mana Burn is not exactly going to be the most influential skill. And Newbie, look at this, with an advantage, with an Aegis, are actually gonna push. Is this
Dota
the evolution
2?
of Chinese Dota?
We're getting there. We're getting there. But no, they've found this opportunity, and unlike the last game, there was hardly ever a time inside the game where there was a major advantage, and even when there was small leads towards either side, it didn't feel like it made any tangible difference inside the team fights. Newbie have an advantage in the graphs, and net worth and experience is obviously in their favor, but more importantly than that, they have a team fight edge. And now they're going to get map control with this gem on the Batrider. DK are starting to really lose a lot of their momentum. Templar Assassin's Desolator hasn't been able to secure them Roshan or secure them any team fights yet, which is usually what you look for when you have this Deso, and she might just get jumped. We have another haste rune on the Shadow Fiend. How many of the runes have been haste? It feels like every other one.
Yeah, Invis and haste, man. That's a brutal combo. Looks like Lina got left behind in that gank train and was picked off. Maybe Force Staff next time will save her, but who knows? Force Staff is just a great item to have up against Life, so they're kite him to death, and he'll be good to go. Newbie are going to group up towards top, where somehow there's still a tier 1 surviving. I'm pretty sure that's not going to live for that much longer. They also have a gem on the Batrider, so Nyx Assassin initiation suddenly not as dependable. And not only that, they're going to lose their psionic traps, they're going to lose any observer wards they've placed, and well, for right now, they're just going to lose their tower. It looks like they're going to teleport back and try to defend their tower and take this tier 1. This is a pretty greedy play here from Newbie, but I do think it's a play that they can get away with if they're all in position at the right time. Without Shadow Fiend and Ember Spirit, it's pointless. They need to teleport back with those 2 heroes right away.
Batrider is waiting in the sidelines, and he's going to show, if only briefly, to the DK side. They ping him out, they know the Batrider is here, and they want nothing of the fight that could come their way. Unfortunate for the Batrider, usually is pretty happy to have the trees destroyed. Not in that situation. You wanted to remain hidden. They'll get the tier 1 and still do defend their tier 1 tower in the bottom lane, at the very least to where they can secure the deny.
Ember Spirit's going to jam that one home, and well, back onto the subject of items here for Newbee. It's very frequently where we see like a team with the net worth lead, but like effectively don't have an item lead because they've invested into items that don't really help them fight necessarily. The main culprit of that is the Blink Dagger, who that item tends to inflate your net worth and helps you in the fight, but not like a mechanism helps you in a fight, or not like a Manta style helps you in the fight. So Newbee, yeah, have that on the Batrider, but aside from that, every single piece of gold that they've picked up is being spent towards very large items. Battle Fury drums completed on the Ember Spirit at a pretty good timing. And of course, the Shadow Fiend is absolutely monstrous right now. Open Moon's not super useful versus that Manta style, and well, that's about it. I guess you get rid of the minus armor from Meld also. It's not a big deal. They'll just bulldoze down the rest of the towers. Newbee looking to increase their gold lead even more. And doesn't seem like DK can really do much about this, since the Ember Spirit's keeping everyone at bay. Just the slight sophisticated scout. Here comes the initiation. They're going to jump straight in onto the Disruptor, however, gets force tapped out, and now they grab the Lifesteal with the lasso, sitting in the Static Storm as well. His Rage is holding for right now, and he's going to have a chance to slip away. They do, however, lose the Aegis on the Ember Spirit. He does have probably a jump out. Laguna Blade being deployed onto the Nyx Assassin. Doesn't have Spike Carapace. He's going to get completely swamped, and he's going to fall. They're still onto the Lifesteal right now. He's going to turn on with the Armlet and the Rage, try to turn things around, but he's going to lose his Dazzle. At least Dazzle gets his Grave off right beforehand. Nyx Assassin going to buy out, but still this Lifestealer is going to run away to safety, it seems. It's going to be a 2 for Aegis, it's I think, for the Newbie side, and they force out a buyback, so a very successful fight for them.
Yeah, the buyback being on the Nyx Assassin, who already is very strapped for gold. The Force Staffs constantly from Newbee are making it difficult for this Lifestealer, even though they're not able to focus him down initially inside that lasso. He is very survivable against physical damage from the Shadow Fiend, with Basilius Armlet Playmail offering a lot of effective HP. Still, maybe in a bit of trouble here. They're going to open the wounds of the Disruptor. Force Staff away in the Disruptor, even though the Carapace stuns him up. Now at the Impale, another Force Staff up to the high ground. And Disruptor is going to survive. Sleight of Fist onto 2. And the Lifestealer is going to fall soon afterwards, dominating for the bad. I mean, we talked about Force Staff being good against Lifestealer, but that's a perfect example of it. Oh, yeah, she's caught out inside the meld. They're going to be able to burn her down. No defensive charges will hold. Double kill for the Ember Spirit, and the only buyback they have available is on the Lifestealer. I'm not sure if DK can really hold here. At the very least, a tier 3.
Oh, for sure. Shadow Fiend's is doing so much damage at this point without really having that many quote-unquote damage items. Manta Style is certainly a nice one, but it's a defensive tool more so than anything else. This tier 3 is going to take a hell of a beating, and, well, first of all, Tusk is not in the right place for defense. He actually doesn't have a TP for another 20 seconds, so it seems like even with the Lifestealer buyback, it's still going to be a 2v5. Maybe that buyback is going to scare Newbee off. We have seen them play very cautiously in the past, but it's been a late day for them. Maybe they're just going to say enough is enough. Let's just go ahead and win this game. It's time to go aggro, time to go YOLO, and it's time to take Raxes, and it seems like mission success. DK still lack their Templar Assassin right now, and they're going to be fighting into a Static Storm. They know that the Batrider's lasso is also up, if Newbee even need it. It doesn't seem like they will. Mid lane completely now devoid of Raxes. Shadow Fiend even going to stick around to try to go for these stupid buildings. Easy structures here from the Newbee side, and Roshan timer. Ooh, not going to be revealed just yet, but that one should be at least an objective that they're going to be keeping in mind. Look at this Ember Spirit's build. Blink Ghost Scepter.
I like it. It's going to be so hard for DK to stick onto him, and they need to have that physical damage in order to kill him off. With just the Battle Fairy, we saw how powerful that cleave is in a vacuum. He'll probably get the Crystallis Daedalus next, but this is going to make him almost unkillable, I want to say. And I think it's close to optimized. Maybe it is a little bit slot inefficient, but Newbee don't care about slots at this point. They're ready to go. If this is the Newbee from the third game, they probably back off after the Lifestealer buyback, but I think it's the right choice to keep on going. What do DK do to stop you at that point? You're so ahead. There's no reason to get lulled into just a static farming game. Take those structures and push your advantage, and they will, to the point of being pretty ridiculous. They have the lasso.
Pulled right back in. Shadow Fiend going to start going to work. This Lifestealer does have an infest, but nothing to infest to. Cage goes up. Static Storm onto the Dazzle. They do get the Grave out beforehand. Ember Spirit's going to lock everyone down while the rest of the team just focuses down this Lifestealer. One hero down already. Boom's back is going to keep this Dazzle in harm's way, and he's going to get focused down by the SF, and now it's the TA versus the world. They can't do any damage because everyone has a Force Staff, it seems. Triple kill for the Shadow Fiend. And in the meantime, in the base, they're going to chase after the Tusk, slay him with the Ember. Assassin's invis, he's chilling, but he knows that he can't go in because there's still a gem on the Batrider. It seems like this game, this series will end with a whimper as DK just get completely overrun. And Newbie, I don't know why they're in mid. They should be going bottom right now, but yeah, now they're going to go towards bottom. It seems like they're going to claim another set of Raxes here.
Yeah, and really, Lifestealer is not the type of hero to come back from super creeps and mega creeps maybe afterwards. If Newbie even go for the third set after winning the next fight, maybe it's just over from there. Tier 3 is going to be sieged by the Ember Spirit. Shadow Fiend isn't here, instead he's farming inside the enemy wood, so it looks like it's not a wholehearted commitment here for Newbie, but it's probably enough. Maybe it's just all calculated. The Shadow Fiend has a full Scotty. Oh my goodness, as if it wasn't already hard enough for this Lifestealer to get on top of his targets inside the fight. Lifestealer is tanky, sure, with the amount of armor that he has, but dealing damage is another story entirely. They won't get the melee barracks. The Ember Spirit is going to pop his Ghost Scepter, looking to run away. They get the lasso back onto the Lifestealer, pull him back up, not quite to the high ground, they actually make it there. And now the Ember Spirit going to start turning with those Sleights of Fist. The Shadow Fiend's coming in for the full wraparound. The Ember Spirit trying to run away, is still going to be chased by that Desolator hit, and is going to be dropping low. Does have the blink out in just a second. Can he get it off? He will! And the Shadow Fiend is really the one they need to worry about in the backlines. And Assassin will get the Carapace Sun, the illusions, but not the main SF. Gets the impale, not going to save your life. They do chase down the Ember Spirit. At least that's something. They get a kill, but probably the cost of some buildings. How do you stop this SF? He is monstrously tanky.
Yeah, they don't have enough damage to kill him off, like, ever. Like, even if he's just hitting buildings and not hitting heroes, you can't kill him in time. And, oh, Templar Assassin, she doesn't have a blink. She's spotted by the Firefly. And, of course, there's a gem, so Mel's is going to help her. She's just going to get kited to hell and back, just like the Lifestealer's problem. That's going to be 2 sets of Raxes now taken. DK not going to tap out just... Never mind. They're going to tap out just yet. That is going to be Newbee claiming their spot in the land.
They'll be joining IG in Vilnius. It should be a lot of fun to watch them play, and I think it's pretty well deserved. Still, these Chinese teams are very close to each other when it comes to their actual performance in the group stage and in the playoffs too. By no means were these stomps some of the longest and closest games I've seen in a long time between these teams. Not to take anything away from DK, I think they performed well, but Newbie, congratulations to them. We'll see them later on land to round out the last Chinese slot for the GameShow Global Esports Cup. I've been Grandis V. I'm going to be going to sleep. Mike Loris, however, is going to have another series. 4CL versus London Conspiracy, if I'm not mistaken. That should be a best of 5 to decide one of the European teams to join Newbee and IG.
That's going to be happening in about 25 minutes. Stream is going to be going on azoo.tv/gameshow_D2EN.
See you there, guys. Should be a lot of fun. Later.